It's really wonderful. I mean, I tried to see most of the films of all three competition sections, and of course all of the Romanian section. I'm a member of the jury, so I think the quality is very high and very balanced, and it was really interesting. And of course some of the films are familiar to me because I'm also running a festival and I've seen plenty of titles before, but especially from the Romanian sections not so many, so it was nice to see new films about the region, about the country. Crossing Europe is a European film festival. It dedicates its program to contemporary young European cinema, let's say social political issues, also young directors, also with an auteur handwriting, with their own voice. And I also like to bring in eccentric cinema, so something which is not on the everyday menu in cinema. So, and especially to bring films to Austria which are not released anymore in cinema, which audience couldn't see otherwise, especially and only at the festival. And the main goal is to bring together really directors from all over Europe, for all north, south, east, west, to mingle, to get this European feeling. And when we say European, we don't mean only the political Europe, the European Union, we mean the whole geographical Europe, and even crossing a little bit the continent. All the issues which are inflicting now the European policy, like migration, is of course always a subject of the festival. What's really interesting is that there are more and more documentaries circling through the festival applications and submissions. A lot of young people are doing documentaries, first of all because it's not so expensive than feature films, and of course there are a lot of political movements going on, and you have to react immediately, and with documentary you can do it. You can really observe, be part of an action, a movement, a revolution or whatever, and that's very interesting. And of course it's not only the subject which is important, it's also the technical but also the artistical skills which are mainly important also for documentaries, especially for cinema. It should be something different to television. So it's interesting how also the direction of documentary is very wide, you know, from staged to reenactment, to even with animation or documentaries, more this agitprop or cinema réel. I mean this kind of real-time observations. And then of course this really important also artistically approach. You have also working with archive material, found footage and so on. So you have actually this dividing between fiction and documentary sometimes is very difficult, or you can't do it even because documentary doesn't mean that everything is real time and real. It could be also a mise en scène or a reenactment or whatever. So it's a variety of technical and artistical options to do a documentary. Actually, we are really looking for outstanding films with a unique handwriting, with an artistic approach, which is not on the TV side, but really on the artistic side, and mainly, of course, also with films dealing with contemporary problems or movements or social political issues. That's also very important. But when I say contemporary is always also dealing with problems from the past, so you can't exclude. So it's very oscillating between past is always inflicting the present political situation. So it's very important to have all this, and of course also the future. So it's all inside. I think first of all it's also due to the activities of festival film institutions, film initiatives, to underline the importance of documentaries, but also of these specialized TV stations. They really bring also artistic documentaries to TV stations, and not only these very fast-made documentaries, which are also important. Of course, all these news docs are important for the society, but if you have more time or long-term observations or whatever. So I think this is very important. But I think we should not be too enthusiastic, but because in terms to major studio productions from the United States or blockbusters, documentaries can't compete always in the everyday cinema venue, or so it's nevertheless fiction films are most successful from an economic point of view. But I'm very happy that documentary, in comparison to 20 years ago, is much more important now in the film and festival scene than before. I think blockbusters are serving to another goal, you know. I mean, this is just for entertainment, to switch off your brain and just eat your popcorn and entertain, which is totally okay. It should be. And of course, I mean, there are also wonderful fiction films dealing with serious subjects and are artistically outstanding and so on. But I think what's really also important, what changed in the last 20 years, is the access to the production material, you know. So it's very easy to get the camera, to shoot film, to be part of something which is going on. And so I think this made it very successful. Everybody can be part of our society and document what's going on in our society, and edit it and put it on Facebook, YouTube, whatever, and share it with the world. And I think that's why documentaries, of course, now much more under focus to talk about how you can use all these equipments, this material, how to edit, how to transport your message, how to share it, and what does it mean in the context of cinephilia and film history. And because we didn't invent anything, everything happens already 110, 120 years ago. So everything was there already, and the film history showed us a lot. So it's interesting also to confront always what you are doing, what was done before. So I think it's also important not to forget about the history in film. Definitely. I mean, you could observe this also in television. You have this all this Big Brother and reality shows, and there was this kind of need also for real stories, real people. Everybody can be a star. Everybody can be in focus in television. So this is, let's say, the extreme and the mirror of this development, but also for cinema, of course, all these invented, kitschy or very obvious and stories you can see in fiction films. Sometimes you don't see yourself in it, you know. And of course, if I want to know something about Romania, Moldavia, Russia, Ukraine, I mean, it's a fiction film which is idealizing or whatever would not fulfill my interest or my need to know more about it. Of Of course, you can read books, articles, whatever, but it's good to have young, not always young, but directors who are there, who think about how to create a film about what's going on now, and that's why documentaries. But it hasn't been always a big issue like a revolution or a Maidan or whatever. It can also be a small story about a family in the countryside struggling with unemployment or whatever. You know, I mean, all these stories are global because in Europe what we share is a challenge right now, and the economic crisis, and a lack of solidarity, and also all these different national feelings. Nationalism, of course, is also a big issue, and these local specialities, and how Brussels and the European Union as a common enemy, and all this, it's very interesting. I mean, it's very important to talk about it and to exchange, and also, especially for Crossing Europe, for example, to give people the opportunity to know each other via film, you know, and to know what's going on in other countries, and what are their opinion, because we all have our prejudice and our pictures we get from short news reels in television, but this is just the surface, you know. I think what I always like is festivals in smaller cities. It's very, you know, there is an overview, everything is very close. I like that that there is young audience attending, even pupils from school. And what is always important, that you have a heart of a festival, and you always can feel if there is somebody who is really into it and really likes to spread the interest, energy, and the love for film and cinema. And then it doesn't matter how big or small a festival is or where it takes place, that's the most important thing, that you have the urge and the need to give your love for what you are doing to somebody else. And for Astra, I like that it's really focusing on documentaries, and have all these sections, and always have very interesting tributes or special programs. And it's you have time to talk about films, especially in the jury. Of course, we don't do anything else. And you meet some other colleagues and directors and festival people. That's very nice. And I think it's very important that there are festivals or the possibility to watch films also in smaller cities, and not only in the capital cities like here in Bucharest, or Cluj is also important with Transylvanian International Film Festival, but that not everything is focused in the centers, but that you have really access to cinema also in smaller places. I think it's very important, and that's why I really think these initiatives, and this festival is since many years now going on, are really to support, and necessary, and great.